Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Millionaires, brought to you by none other than your Mr. Ray. Hope everybody's doing good out there today. You have survived the major ice storm. If you're here in Oklahoma, we just went through a major experience, probably the second biggest storm that we've had ice storm wise in Oklahoma history. Having been worked for the utility company for many years, I am intimately aware of everything that goes on and what those guys are up against on getting service on. At one point, they were up to over 700,000 people throughout the state of Oklahoma were out of service. Not a good thing. Here in Oklahoma City, around 200,000, 300,000, which was a lot of people. And in fact, some of you all have probably been affected. I know a lot of friends of mine, they have been out since Monday. So imagine that, been out without any power for 4 days or so. Not a good thing. One of the things about electricity, we've come to find out it's no longer just, something that's nice to have, appreciate it. It becomes a necessity now. Now it is our God-given right to have electricity. So sometimes we forget, how lucky we are to have our power on. And we've just experienced a few clicks here and there, but we never had our services out for any length of time. So we're thankful for that. And any of you out there that have been impacted, we're praying for you. Hopefully your services will get back on. A lot of tree damage. In fact, I'm going to show you what's happened to several of my properties at the end of this. I had some significant damage on several of my properties, and I'll be sharing that with you this evening. But today we want to talk about how to flip houses, baby, how to flip houses. So I got to start by telling you, giving you the disclosure. I'm not an attorney. I'm not CPA. I'm not any of those. I'm just a guy that loves real estate and loves teaching real estate. So anything that I say during these sessions, you need to check them with the professionals and make sure they're correct. But today we're going to talk about flipping houses. Now, I am not a house flipper, but I do know how to buy houses that these house flippers buy. And I'm going to show you a process today. If you want to be a house flipper, this is what you can do. But I tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak, baby. You got to know what you're doing. You're going to be out here flipping some houses. You get yourself in a world of trouble. But hopefully I'm going to break it down for you and where you can understand and you get a chance to ask a few questions. I know you see all these guys on TV. Oh, man, you can make so much money flipping. And there is a lot of money to be made flipping houses, but you better know what you're doing if you want to be profitable and successful. So let's talk about this flipping process. If I can get my deal going here. Yeah, so as we know, as we always do, the ground rules are make sure you stay muted. And I want to make sure you're asking questions as we go along, and then you can provide questions and feedback also in the chat room among each other. Maybe somebody on here can help answer. If not, at the end of it, I'll try to answer those questions for you. So I got to start with a Rayism, baby. Tis better to be silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt, baby. So sometimes you just need to keep your mouth closed and we won't know whether you're a fool or not, right? Rayism, baby. Rayism, orgism in your ear. So the agenda today, I'm going to give you 10 steps to becoming a flipper. 10 steps, 10 easy steps. If you want to be a flipper, I'm going to show you how to do it today. First of all, you got to get educated, baby. Read as much as you can to understand the nuances, the in and outs of how to flip houses. You need to be very educated when it comes to flipping houses. And then get yourself a mentor. Find somebody who's out there doing it, who's making money at it, and see if you can tag along. See if you can help them by becoming a partner with them, maybe with funds, or maybe you just help them do some work that they need to have done. Figure out who's doing it and doing it well. See if you can get with them. And then just get out there and research some of the properties that have been flipped in your area. It's easy to tell when a property has been flipped, right? You'll see somebody buy a property for a wholesale price. 3 months later, it's up to market price. That means that house is ready to be flipped. So make sure that you get it. This is the most important piece right here, because I'm going to share with you some things today. I'm going to help you get started. But there's so much more that you're gonna need to know that I'm not gonna be able to share with you today. I'm just gonna be at the 10,000 foot level, but you're gonna need to dig down into the nasty, dirty details of this business in order to be successful. And here's some of the books you can read. This is the one on the left, How to Find, Fix, and Sell Houses for Profit by Rick Valliani and Clay Davis. That's a very good book. And here's a couple of other books that you can get. So make sure you get educated on how to flip house. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of disinformation out there. But if you get one of these books or a couple of these books, I think you'll be well on your way if that's what you want to do. You want to be a flipper. Number 2, understand the math behind flipping. You got to understand what it takes to do a good deal and to be profitable in that deal. First of all, you got to understand how much you should pay for the property, because that's where the first place you go wrong is you pay too much for the property. So understand what that maximum allowable offer is. MAO, baby, know what that is. That's the maximum amount that you can pay for a property. I'm going to take you to an example, show you how to come up with the maximum allowable offer. And then you got to understand also how much it's going to cost to get this thing repaired, right? I got it for a good deal, great deal, but really, how much is it going to cost me to get this thing repaired and get it up and running? And then you got to understand how much you're going to make in profit. If you buy it for $60,000 and it takes you $20,000 to get it fixed up, and it's only worth $80,000 when you get done, you're not going to make any money on that deal. You're basically going to break even. So figure out how you can make money on the deal, and I'll show you how to do that. So you got to know the numbers, baby. Know them numbers. What I always tell you, what's my saying? Don't fall in love with the houses. I need you to fall in love with them numbers. So first thing you got to know is, again, what's your maximum allowable offer? What are you going to offer for this property? So what's the purchase cost? Another important number is, what's the after repair value? What's the market value? What's it going to appraise for? What are people going to be willing to buy this property for? The after repair value, baby. You better know that going in. So how do you know that, Mr. Ray? Well, I teach a lesson on that. We had that lesson already talking about analyzing properties in our foundation series on Monday. So understand how to get to that after repair value. And then you got to be very, very good about projecting what is going to be the repair cost on these things. Tiffany asked me a good question this week around, Ray, how do you know, what's a good way to estimate these things? And I'm like, yeah, you got to have experience. I can't really tell you. You got to do some things. You got to hang out at Lowe's and Home Depot. You got to ask questions. You got to ask some contractors, hey, what does it cost to paint a house that's 1,000 square foot, or how much does it cost to rechange a heating and air unit? What you got to put in a whole new? What about appliances? So you just got to ask questions and get out there and learn what the projected repair cost is going to be for these properties. And then you got to understand what the holding costs. So if you got to rehab this property and you got to sit on it for 2 or 3 months, then you better understand how much it's going to cost you to hold that property, because you got to have the utilities on. You probably have to pay the property taxes, the insurance, all kind of other stuff. Make sure you understand what the full costs are. And then there's financing costs. If you're financing this deal, then you got to make sure that you understand what the rates are when you're financing these. And then the closing costs, right? When you get ready to sell this, there's going to be some closing costs involved in that, and you need to understand what those numbers are. So you got to know your numbers, baby. Know them numbers before you ever get started. And this is one of my favorites right here. He said this in the Bible in Luke. He said, for which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, baby. Count the cost. Whether you got enough to finish this job. Don't get started in this thing if you don't even know what your costs are. The Bible is very clear right here, baby. Count the costs before you get into it. Raise them for your ergism. All right, let's talk about some specifics here. We're going to get down to a maximum allowable offer. That is, how much should you pay for a flip, right? So we always got to start with how much is it going to be worth when you're done? That's the key. How much is it going to be worth and how much can you sell it for? So you got to understand what the ARV is. So let's go and look what the formula is. So it's going to be the ARV and it's going to be less all these costs, all right? So the first cost is the cost to repair it. We talked about the holding costs. You need to understand what those holding costs are, what the closing costs are, and then there's one more thing you got to add in this, which some of you may not have seen. What's your profit, baby? How much profit are you going to be wanting to make on this deal? And so let's go and figure maximum allowable offer on this particular property right here. So we're going to assume, this is assumption, that the after repair value is 100K, cost of repairs is 20, holding cost is 2, closing cost is 3, and you want to make $20,000 on this flip. All right, so what does that look like? That's what it looks like right here, baby. You start with the $100,000. That's your after repair value. You subtract your repairs, your holding costs, your closing costs, and your profit. So the maximum allowable offer that you can offer on this property, given these assumptions, is $55,000. All right, so let me stop right here and ask, are there any questions? No questions?
Yeah, sorry. So the finance piece you were talking about is the closing cost.
Say again now, Darren.
The financing piece that you were talking about that you need to factor in, that's the closing cost?
No, financing, the closing cost is the cost that when you sell it, so you have all those costs, you got to get, for the buyer, you got to do title work, you're going to have to do inspections, termite inspections, you're going to have all those type of closing costs is what's in there. There's no financing in here. The holding cost is where the financing would be. Right, because if you're going to, especially if you're going to be financing this with hard money, then that's the cost that you're going to be paying the hard money lenders. Now, I'm going to show you here in a minute that you won't be able to get typical financing from a bank on these type properties. Banks don't do these type deals. You're going to have to either have your cash, or you're going to have to get a hard money lender, or you're going to have to get private money. Banks are not going to let you buy a house that needs $20,000 worth of work. They typically don't do that. Now, you might find some that will, but they're basically going to say, you come back and see me when you get that house repaired. Now, if it just needs cosmetic work, paint, flooring, stuff like that, but if you get up over $10,000, $15,000, banks really not interested in selling, because as soon as they send an appraiser out there and the appraiser tells them that this house needs major rehab, they're not going to give you the loan. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions before we move on? Very good. So the third thing that you need to know if you want to be a flipper is you got to know your market. So you got to understand, so you made a projection about how much money you wanted to make on this property. Well, if you miscalculated how much that house is going to be worth and how much people are willing to pay for that, then you're not going to make the money you thought you were going to make. So you got to know what the houses are selling for in the area that you're thinking about buying, right? What's the average house selling for in that area? And then how fast are houses selling? Are they selling in 2 months? Are they selling in 1 month? Are they selling in a year? We call that days on the market. After the house goes on the market, what's the average days for houses in that area for staying on the market? You got to know that. And then you got to know, pick the fastest selling area, because the name of the game on flipping is to get in and get out as fast as you can. You want to get in, get that house rehab, sell it, get your profit so you can go on to the next one. So you need to identify areas that are fast selling, not an area that looks like, you know, you're going to have a hard time selling, because you're going to have a hard time getting your money back. And then what types of properties are selling the fastest, right? Are 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, or houses that have garage, without garage, central heating, air? I mean, understand what types of properties are selling fastest. That's going to give you an upper hand and allow you to get in and out of those houses very quickly for your flip profit. Ah, yeah, arrange your financing, baby. How are you going to finance your rehab deal? Darren asked a great question. I'm gonna show you right here. We're gonna talk a little bit about this financing. First of all cash. If you got cash, that's the way to do these deals, right? Because you can just pay your money, pay the $50,000. The house gonna be worth $100,000 when you're in. Just put the $50,000 in, do the $20,000 in repairs and holding costs and closing costs and all that. At the end of the day, you got $20,000 cash coming back to you, right? You're going to get your money back, plus you're going to get an additional $20,000. But most people don't have cash, do they? They ain't got that kind of money. So what's the other way? Darren asked me about banks. Banks don't like to finance houses that are not repaired. They're not in that business. In fact, FHA and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and all them, unless you own a special program, they won't finance these deals. And most banks don't want to do these deals because their deal is, you know, this house is not worth, they only want houses that they can come in and get 75% of the value of a house that's actually been finished, ready out there. Because if they got to take that house back from you, they don't want a house they got to fix up. They just want a house that they can throw on the market. And then hard money lenders. These guys are out there and they will loan you money, but it's going to cost you usually 10, 12, 15% interest is what they're charging on that. And they want you to have skin in the game. So in our example, hard money lenders for a $100,000 house that's going to be worth $100,000 ARV, they'll loan you up to 70% of that, including the repairs, if you bring them the right deal. And if you're willing to pay the cost. So you got to make sure you add that financing cost when you're doing your calculation for your maximum allowable offer. And then you can always get partners and private money lenders out there. I mean, if you can convince somebody, hey, I got this great deal, I need you to front me so I can go do this deal and make it happen. If you can find somebody to do that, by all means, do that. Quick, any questions before we move on from financing? Again, typically banks won't do this one. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's another question. So if I'm interpreting this correctly, in the future, if you want to do something that's $50,000 or less, you want to build a partnership with a hard money lender.
Absolutely. Because banks are not going to do it for the most part. Any other question? All right.
I have a question, Mr. Ray.
Yes, sir.
So your banks, are your banks only good for refinancing whenever you're trying to, say you already got the money, but you want to refinance the money back out? Will they typically refinance the deal?
Yes, they will.
Okay. Like a smaller bank, or do you go to your traditional banks that have been around for a long time, like your Chase and Bank of America and, you know?
So
or do you go to your mom and pop banks? They're like.
So you missed the finance part of this where we talked about that. So I'm gonna refer you to that one. But typically, you know, banks do this. If you have less than 10 properties as investment, banks will loan this money to you. In fact, there's a lot of good rates out there today. Banks will typically today loan you 75% of the ARV at 4 to 5%. for 20, 30 years. So there's some good money out there for new investors. They won't give me any money because I got too many properties. When you get more than 10 properties, they won't fool with you. But the credit unions, Tinker Federal Credit Union, Navy Federal, Wewoke, all these banks right now today around here in Oklahoma City, they're offering some great rates on finance. If you got good credit, if you are, you got a good job, then you can get financing, but not on houses that need major repair. These are only houses that need cosmetic repair, right? 5 to 6, maybe 10,000, but you're probably pushing it there. So they're looking at property to finance that's really close to market value.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Okay, let's keep pushing. Number 5, find you a good real estate agent, baby. Now, I normally am not a big real estate agent guy because I'm a rogue investor and I like to do deals directly with the owner of the property, right? But in this case, if you want to be a good flipper, you're going to have to find you a good real estate agent. Why? Because they're going to help you determine what that house is worth. And they're going to be able to run comparables for you. And they're going to help you make sure that you get it right, right? So you got to find a good real estate agent that loves working with investors. And there's some out there. In fact, I got one living in the house with me, my wife. She loves to do stuff with investors. So find you a good one out there that can help you determine what that house is going to be worth when it's all said and done. And they'll also expose you to a wider market when you get ready to sell this property because they'll put that thing on MLS. Now, it's going to cost you, you're going to have to pay their commission, but it's going to be worth it because you're going to have a hard time selling that property for sale by owner or trying to sell it by yourself as an investor. So they'll give you a broader audience that'll be able to look at your property, and it'll be on Zillow and realestate.com, and it'll be on the MLS. So you'll be able to put the most eyeballs as you can on your property. And most of the buyers that are going to be buying your house, because remember, you're fixing this property up, so it's practically brand new. Most of the buyers are going to have an agent representing them, so you're going to need to have an agent representing you on your side. And then the agents are going to provide you with the marketing. They're going to do the open houses, the flyers, the online. Everything is going to be taken care of by the agent. You just sit back and you wait for them to find the right buyer to come in and buy this property for you. Number 6, the 6th thing that you need to do when you start talking about, I want to be a flipper, you got to get out there and start analyzing some deals, right? You got to be driving the neighborhood looking for deals because you're going to have to buy properties for 50 and 60% of the ARV if you're going to make it in this. You cannot buy property at 70% ARV and make money as a flipper. It won't happen. Now, as a buy and hold guy, I can make money like that because I'm a buy and hold it. But if I'm a flipper, I got to get in deals 30, 40, 50% of what they're worth, right? So you got to be out there looking for weeds. You got to be looking for houses that's boarded up, windows broken. Those are the deals that you're going to be able to turn into good flips. And then look at these and run some potential numbers. Go back and run those numbers that I talked. You got to be good at estimating what repairs are, how much is a new roof, how much you can put in a new central heating area. You got to put in floors. What's the cost per square foot? I mean, you got to be really good with them numbers, baby, if you want to be good at this. And then just contact some prospective buyers and make some offers on some of these deals. You say, well, what if they accept it? If you got the right deal and they accept it, what's the problem with that? So you got to make sure that whatever you want to offer them, just go below that. And if they accept it and you say, oh, I don't have the money, Mr. Ray, then you come see me. We'll figure out. If you got a property that you're buying for 30, 40, 50% of the ARV and we can do a deal on that, I'm going to be here to help. But you might want to run that by me ahead of time and not wait, oh, Ray, I got a deal for you. No, you didn't tell me about that. And when I run the numbers, if they're not good, then there you're going to be. And then check out some of the flips that's on the market. Again, you can find out a lot of flips on the market. Go in, you can go on Zillow, you can see houses that are on the market. If you go down and look at the history, you'll see it's on the market now, but it just sold 3 months ago for, $100 or $50,000 less than what they're trying to sell it now, that's a flip. That's a good indication that that property was being flipped. Ah, here it is right here, baby. If you don't have good contractors, make or break the deal, right? You got to have good people over there working on that house. They work fast and they can do it at a quality price. So there's three things about contractors. There's quality, there's price, and there's timeliness. Rarely will you get all three of these with a contractor, right? Number one, it's just hard to find good contractors, period. But if you find one that does quality work, it's probably going to cost you in price. If you find one that's cheap in price, it's probably going to cost you on quality and timeliness. If you find one that's very timely, that you're not going to get all three of these, right? You're only going to get maybe two of these, but look for contractors that's going to give you all three of these if you can. Now, there's three types of contractors. There's a low-end contractor. These are your fly-by-night. These are guys you see, they got their name on the side of the truck, they're riding around, they're not licensed, they're not bounded, they're not insured, and you got little recourse if something goes wrong. I usually would tell you, don't use these guys on the flip, right? Because you don't know if they're going to even finish it. Now, they'll be very cheap, and they might even do good work. But at the end of the day, if they're not bonded and insured, if something goes wrong, then you're out there on the hook. Then there's average, what I call average contractors. They're licensed, they're bonded, they're insured, and they like working with real estate investors. And most of them have reasonable rate. And these are the ones that you want to use on your flips because they're reasonable, they're bonded, they're going to be middle of the road. They're not going to be the cheapest, but they're going to be middle of the road. And then you got the high-end guys. These guys will charge you $2,000 just to paint a bedroom, but they're good at what they do. And they have clients that are willing to pay that because these are high-end properties. And these guys come in, they put in, these granite countertops, they can do fireplaces, they can do it all. But they're high-end contractors. If you got a high-end property, now you're going to need high-end contractors, but you better make sure that you put those numbers in there when you're doing your calculations. So let's stop on contractors for a minute. Any questions on contractors? All right, rocking and rolling, baby, rocking and rolling. Number 8, make sure you get a home inspection, baby. Don't cut corners on this one, especially if you don't have any experience. Make sure you get somebody come by and take a look at that. Now, it's going to cost you $300 or $400, so you can't do this on every deal. You can only do this when you know you got a property that you have put in a bid on and the owner accepted the bid. What you need to do is put in that contract that this is contingent upon you approving the home inspection, right? Because you look at it, it's a great deal, but you get in there and, the foundation and this house about to fall over. You find out that they got termites. You found out, some stuff you didn't know, that's going to cost you a whole lot of money and you didn't prepare to do that. You may find out there's zoning issues, right? So be willing to hire a qualified professional to do a home inspection for you. Again, when he comes in and does that home inspection for you, now you got 3 choices. First of all, if he comes in and said the house looks good, you can move forward with the sale. If he comes in and he says, hey, this is not a good deal for these reasons, now you got something you can walk away from the deal. Or it may be something that's not that big of a deal and you can renegotiate it, with the seller, right? And now I'm talking about homes that you're going to buy. You got to have these inspected. And so if you're buying it, you can say, hey, Mr. Seller, I found a few things. Either we can knock something off the price, or maybe you can have this thing fixed or whatever. If they say no or they don't want to do it, then you can walk away from the deal. Questions?
If you walk away from the deal, don't you lose your earnest money?
Not if you have the contingency written in the contract, and most contracts have this contingency in there. This is pending the inspection. They normally give you 10 days from the day you sign the contract to get you an inspector out there to take a look at it. And if that inspection comes back and you don't like it, you have it in the contract that you get to walk away is there anything in that inspection that you don't agree to, you can walk away, but you got to have that in your contract. We good? All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Number 9, do your due diligence, baby. Make sure that that you're, as the property is being fixed up, make sure that you're paying the utilities on time, and make sure that you're paying your contractor as you go. You don't pay him up front. You pay him as he goes through different phases of that project, right? Make sure you don't have any outstanding debts out there. Make sure that you sign the disclosure documents from the title company. As you're going through this, make sure that you're in contact with the title company and that everything's going smooth as far as that title being able to be transferred to your name. And make sure that you purchase insurance as you hold that property. If something happens, like the ice storm came through, right? If you held that property, you didn't have insurance on it, all your investment is gone. So make sure that you have the proper insurance on those property. And then make sure you get several bids. Don't just take the one bid you get. If there's a low bid and a high bid and an average bid, figure out in there which one of those bids is going to work for you, depending upon what type of house that you just bought and what area that you bought in. And then, by golly, you're ready to get your contractors. Select the contractor and get out there and get that house going. Number 10, baby, you got to manage your rehab. You are, in essence, if you don't hire a general contractor, you by default will become the general contractor. So make sure that you create a detailed scope of work that you can hand off to the contractor and say, these items, line by line, is what I want done. And so you got to make sure, again, when I told you about education, that's the key. You got to know each piece of this puzzle before you even thought about this, right? Don't start this if you haven't done your homework, right? If you didn't consider, hey, what it's going to take to build this property, we talked about that. The Bible says in Luke, make sure you count the cost, baby, before you get started. And then manage your financials. You got some moving pieces going. You got holding costs. You got financing costs. You got closing costs. You got all these costs going on. Make sure you're managing your financials. And then when the rehab is all said and done, when you go through, the contractor says, hey, we're done. You go through there and you make your final punch list before you pay him that final check. Don't give him the check and say, hey, I need you to come back and do this. You're done. He's done. When he got his money, he's probably gone. So make sure that final punch list that you've taken care of. Maybe, you got to make sure all the plugs are working, make sure the water's running, hot water tank, all those little things, you got to make sure they're done before you pay him that final check. And don't make that final payment, baby, until he's finished all the work. All right, that's all I've got for you flippers out there. If you want to be a flipper, you got enough information right there to get started. But I say, go get yourself educated. Don't try to do this on your own. Get with somebody that's done it, knows what they're doing, and learn from them. Any questions before I show you some stuff that's been going on with me with the impact from the recent storm? Any questions on flipping, baby? Anybody gonna try this flipping game? Who's out there think they can do some flips?
Right here, Mr. Whitley.
You ready to go, man? You ready? Oh man, you ready?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You got some things identified?
I've got some things identified, just trying to get things working, that's all.
Okay, good. Good. Anybody else?
I have a question, Mr. A, but it's not necessarily about flipping. It's the YouTube videos for the advanced class.
Yes.
Did you have a special link for those ones? Or was
I
it
have to
just
send you those links, Christina. So you just request from me what link you want, and I'll send those to you because now I've got people paying for this, right? And so I just don't want to put it out there free for everybody. Now eventually I'll put them all out there, but for now, for those that are paying for it, doesn't why give it to everybody free and I'm making you pay for it, right? So you paid for it, and so you request it. Send me a text, say, "Hey, Mr. Ray, I missed that week. Can you send that link to me?" And I'll link that to you. And then you can get caught up. And that's for anybody. If you miss any sessions, you just let me know what session you missed, and I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Welcome. What other? Anybody got anything else? Come on, questions. There are no dumb questions. There's dumb people, no dumb questions. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Mr. Ray, be nice. Talk nice to your people. Any other questions? All right, baby. Well, we're gonna shift gears, and I'm gonna show you what's going on with me. This has been, this has been a tough week, baby. Tough week. So let me show you some of the damage that's going on. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of my properties. As you can see, you might see the line. This is the service line that goes to the meter. Kind of hard to see, but that has been pulled away from the house, and that's a bad deal. And I was over there today. We started cleaning some of this stuff up, but it's going to be a while. And this is my property at 2117 North Jordan. Here's another look. You can see the line kind of right in there that goes to the house, the back of the house. So I couldn't even get in the backyard because it was just a mess back there. And then this is just a shot of the backyard. So, I mean, we got hammered, and you can see these pictures all over Oklahoma, right? And so I got a lot of work I got to do on that. So first I got to get the trees cleaned out of there, and then I've got to get an electrician to come over and get that meter box put back up. But right now, nobody in the neighborhood has electricity anyway. So she's not in any hurry because the lights are not even on, and which is good. The electrician can come over there. He can get everything fixed up while the power is off. This is another property on Madison. And those of you all that remember, I rehabbed the 2301 East Madison and had that little garage out back. That's that little garage covered up in trees that have fell on the garage. So I don't know if there's damage to the roof there yet. We'll get those trees off of there and figure out what we got. But here's Madison. Here's the back of Madison. You can't see there.
It's stuck on just like all of your pictures.
Did it? Okay, hold on. Did it not move to the next one? Did it move there?
Not yet.
I'm gonna have to go one at a time. Okay, let me do that. We gotta go one at a time. We might have to do that. Oh, well, you know what I have to do? I'm gonna stop the share and go into each one. Okay, so let's go into. So I won't show you all of them then. Okay, can you guys see that?
I think it's loading.
This may not work. These are high gloss pictures here. Let's see. How about that?
Now we can see it.
Okay, so this is one of my properties over on Northeast 17th. As you can see, that's the meter right there, and that's the wire that's hanging off, and it actually tore off side of it. So that's got to all be repaired. So let me see if I can go to the next one and show you a different shot there. Okay, this is another shot. You can see it, tore off a lot of this facet up here on the side, and it basically ripped that off the wall. So there's trees that were on that. Let me do another one here. This is another property on Northeast 35th. As you can see, the tree in the backyard, if you can see it, I hope you can see it, is laying on the house pretty much. And not any damage to the house that I can see, but again, that's a huge tree, and it's going to cost a little bit of money to get that tree off that house. Let me show you a couple more, and then we'll be done. Let's see, what's another good one? All right, this is my property on McGregor. That whole tree is going to probably have to come down. Didn't fall on the house, but it pretty much covered everything else. So that's what I got going on, and that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen, in the great ice storm in Oklahoma. So I did learn a few things about the insurance company on these type claims. Number one is that if that tree does not fall on the house, then and it falls in the yard or anywhere else, then you're responsible for that. If it falls on the house or the fence or anything else, then the insurance company will help with the removal of that, but only the part that's on the house and the part that's on the fence. Right? So you'll be responsible. So you've seen all those trees that was falling in my front yard and it's in the back, all that stuff is going to be my responsibility to remove. The only thing that they're going to be responsible for, they're going to repair all those meter bases that were pulled off the house. They will pay for those. That's my deductible, of course. And they'll pay for any of the tree removal that's on the house, on the fence, or anything like that. So that was some information I wanted to share with you guys and kind of let you know how that works. Any questions on any of that?
I have a question about your insurance. Do you own multiple properties, but each one is probably insured separately? Do you have to pay then multiple deductibles, or how does that work?
Yes, every one of mine has a $1,000 deductible. So I got to meet that threshold before I even think about them paying for the other repairs. The nice thing about it though is that some of those, if they don't come up to $1,000, I don't have to claim them. Because some of those I've got, I got some guys that can go and clean those trees up, for $200 or $300. I can probably get those meter bases thrown back up, $600-700, depending upon, how much damage it is. I got to get the house, the siding of the house is fixed and things like that. So for most of them, it's probably not even going to meet that threshold. But the ones that do, then again, I got that $1,000 deductible on each one of those, Christina. Any other questions?
So for future references, are you going to look at, trimming some of those trees near some of your houses grown? And
You sound like OG&E. That's what they hitting OG&E up. But how come y'all didn't trim those trees out before the storm come? You should have took care of that. Well, it's always 2020, right? Those trees look good when they're in front of your house, and they provide shade and all. Until you get some ice on them, baby, then you gotta want to cut them down. No, I probably the ones that are impacted, I'm cutting them down, baby. So I won't have that problem in the future. But if I got big trees in some of my other properties, I'm not spending $1,200, $1,400 to get some of those big trees out of there, because I've had them for 20 years, and this is the first time that I've had an issue with them. So to me, I'm willing to take the risk, Don.
Hey, Mr. Ray, do you need help removing those?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. If anybody wants to volunteer to come over and help Mr. Ray, remove some of these trees, you're more than happy to come and help me. I've got chainsaws, I got saw saws, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just drag that stuff to the curb, because eventually the city's gotta come around and pick all that up. So it's just a matter of cutting it up and getting it out to the curb. So I'll take all the help I can get. Sure will, sir.
All right, just keep me posted. Thank you.
All right. What other questions? Well, that's all I've got for the day. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, what would you advise in a situation of all this happened? So you just went out to your property, you took good pictures. What are you aiming for, and what are you trying to get so that you can pass that information off to your insurance company?
Yeah, so I did. I took detailed pictures, like those pictures I showed you. I got a lot more pictures, so they see exactly what the damage is. And so, yes, take all your pictures. If need be, if for instance, if I had a hole in one of the roofs or something, I would go ahead and pay a contractor to come over, cover it up, make sure it doesn't destroy, anything else in the house. But right now, the insurance adjusters are going to be stacked. You're going to be hard pressed to find contractors to come out and do trees or anything else, because everybody has the same issue right now. So my mitigation deal is I got 3 properties that the service was tore away from the house, that the meters, that they can't even take power. So my first task is to get those back up and running. All right, so I got to get electricians out there, get my estimates, and get those repairs as soon as possible. All 3 of them right now, the whole neighborhood's out, so I'm not that worried about. So hopefully by this weekend, I'll have those 3 done. But yeah, Don, I'm just taking pictures, getting stuff fixed, keeping all my receipts, and making sure, if it doesn't add up to $1,000, and I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm not going to claim it. But if it does add up to more than 1,000, then I'll make sure I get that reimbursed from the company.
Mr. Ray,
Yes.
is it a good idea, I guess, to have pictures of your properties beforehand? Like, say you buy property, you should go and take pictures of everything, so you'll have that kind of your before the storm happens.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I even tell people in your home, we had an incident where lightning struck the house, right, and tore up a bunch of appliances in the house. So, it would have been good if I'd have kept all the receipts for everything that I bought, and I had pictures of everything. Yeah, that's always good. So yes, I would encourage you to take pictures of your property. And you'll see most of my properties, I got multiple pictures. I got before, after, and doing, when I'm fixing them up and all that. So yes, it's very, very good to make sure you have documented evidence of what that property looked like before it was destroyed or you had any damage to it. Do we have any questions in the chat room? Let's see here. Don't see anything. All right, you guys are ready to get out and do some flipping, baby. I know you can't wait to get out there and flip your first property. Hopefully, you'll do it the right way. You'll make sure you got your maximum allowable offer, managing contractors, all the things that we talked about today. And also, even if you saw this today, if you want me to send you a copy of, so you can go back through it slowly, I'll always do that too. So every video that I make, every Zoom meeting that we have, you just let me know, hey, I want that in my repertoire. I want to be able to go back and refer to that when I want to. I'll send that to you, no problem. All right, it's time for me to eat. I got to get ready because tomorrow I got to go cut some wood. I got to be ready to do some work. Anybody want to come and help me, you just holler at me and let me know. We'll put you to work, baby. Y'all have a great evening and stay safe.